I know, like in terms of like the chart, like we had some, this was around, we had the big run up to ETF, and then we had some chop. Understandably, things had to cool down.
Little pullback after the day of the news.
Pullback.
A lot of
Yeah,
people being
exactly.
like, "I told you so. I knew it would pull back when the news came out." But like here we are, like a few weeks later. It's like, just wait.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was stuck in this like range. It took out, like the top and the bottom, and then once it broke out, this was a bull flag that we were tracking, and this is the target. So the target is around 60K, close to its last highs, close to its last highs. But
generally speaking, you want to show how to find the target, because I know that was
so
something
like
you showed me.
So really cool. Say if let me see if I can like hide this guy. So if this is a bull flag, right? Like first you identify if it's just like ranging. This is the top and the bottom of the range, and then so what you do is you measure what's called a flagpole, because it literally looks like a flag from where around the bottom to the top of the move.
Like from where the move started gaining momentum.
Yeah, gaining momentum.
So kind of like where it
straight.
stopped. Like so the whole line up to where it kind of stops. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly. So it has to. So it looks like a flagpole, and then what you do is like I literally like copy this line. All I'm doing is Control-C, Control-V. That's a shortcut, and then like I'm extending it beyond the flag.
And that gives us the target range for the move, for the breakout from the flag.
For the breakout, and it's not a guarantee, but like most of the time, like the probability of it hitting that is very high. Like in the past, in trading, we've shared targets, and it pretty much
it gives us a really great exit point. Because like exactly. we see a breakout, we see price action, people want to buy, want to get in on this ride, but it's really hard to know like, okay, when I buy, when do I sell? This type of analysis gives us a like, okay, if we're buying now, we should be looking to maybe take profit here, at the top of the pole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like usually like, price after it breaks out, it can like drop, retest, and then bounce. So because like things, it usually never just goes up in a straight line. So there's always going to be pullbacks and things like that. So like, so last, so like if you look at the stock, which is another indicator that we use apart from our trading buddy indicator, that's our custom indicator. You can see how Bitcoin has just been on an uptrend ever since it signaled bull. It signaled bull around $20,000. That was literally the bottom, of the bear market.
Fantastic.
And it's been up. So like so that tells you what the trend is. And then I also use this other indicator called the stock RSI, but then it kind of tells you how much of gas is left in the tank, right?
Like,
and this
how much
means
momentum or whatever you want to call it.
Momentum, exactly.
Yeah, like how much momentum the move has.
Exactly, and this also indicates that it still has some ways to go before it flatlines. Once it flatlines, then it's kind of losing steam.
Yeah, so when you're looking at that little blue range, you could consider the top of that, outside of that range, as overbought, and then the bottom of it underneath the blue would be oversold.
Yeah, oversold.
So right now we're like halfway through the move, just like with the flagpole.
Actually, that's true.
Yeah, look at that.
So like we're halfway through the target, we're halfway through the move, but like if you look at the daily chart, let me scale that. Like we can see that like it's curving, and this is also curving. So I expect a pullback to around where the strength band is. That's our indicator, and it has a strength band. And basically what it means is that price in a bullish trend the band will flip to green color, and it kind of acts as support. So like price usually will try to stay above it or bounce on it in a bullish trend. So even if we have a pullback, I expect it to bounce around here. That's like around 47.5. But I don't know if it's gonna, drop that low, because like looking at the weekly, we have $49,000 is kind of like support.
Yeah, support.
You see this wick right here.
Yep.
So it might just drop a little bit and then bounce, because like long term, it's still up, is what we're saying. So we might have a temporary pullback, but then we expect it to bounce and continue going up.
And even 49 or 50K would potentially still be a bounce on the strength band, because if we start pulling back slowly, then obviously, as the lines are drawn, as the candles are drawn, the band will come up to meet us. And so when you're using our indicator, all you need to do is, like, if you're looking at the daily chart, it's like, okay, making sure that we're staying and the days are closing above that daily strength band. Like right here, we're seeing each of these weeks closing. Even when we were pulling back, you see that we found support on the strength band. And
it can wick down, but then like it tends to bounce back up.
Yeah, and then obviously opposite on a bear trend, where we'll push up to the band and then we'll be rejected and find resistance there. So depending on the color of the band will determine, is the band acting as support or as resistance currently. So
there we go. Exactly. And then if you look at Ethereum, Ethereum has started to move, which is great. It's just been, it's been slower to move, but then now we had a feeling that it's going to take off, because like this is also in a bull flag, and it wicked here, so a little more than halfway through the target.
Oh my!
And so long term, it looks similar to Bitcoin in the sense that its long term is up for sure.
Yeah.
And it's in a bullish trend. We might have a small pullback, maybe, the same way.
This one looks a little less bearish than Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a more rounded top forming, where this is still kind of very jaggedy. And so it almost makes me feel like, Bitcoin is looking more like it wants to pull back, while Ethereum maybe is going to try to keep its momentum up a little.
Exactly. But the stock is like
very overbought.
A little like overbought. So like, to cool this off. I mean, and it's same thing with Bitcoin, so we'll have a pullback, but then we expect a bounce, or for it to stay above the strength band.
Yeah. So I would say, like, one of the main takeaways there then is that, buy the dip is kind of like, that's basically, that's what we're planning to do. And like, that's what we've been saying also in our previous videos for a while now, ever since basically our weekly turned back to,
we got the bull signal ever since we had this.
Ever since then, we were like, hey, this means that buy the dip is back on the menu as a viable strategy to invest into this market. And absolutely, I stand by that today. And we did a good amount of dip buying last dip. So
and it's worked out great.
We're sitting very
Bitcoin, pretty. We're up so much. Like Bitcoin is more than doubled.
Yeah, it feels good to be able to to feel like buying the dip is actually going to it's coming back. And so, that's
right.
That's
in a bull market, it absolutely works.
Yeah, so it's great. It's great. I'm excited to be buying the dips again, and it's really fun to see the adoption kind of side of the centralized finance world, with the whole spot ETFs starting to pick up interest, and seeing that the scale of that interest is pretty epic. I have to admit, like, I didn't expect retail and other investors to be quite as excited about a spot ETF, because I think maybe because I'm so close to Bitcoin, I don't think it's very difficult to buy Bitcoin without an ETF. So obviously, I'm a little bit blinded by my tech savvy here.
Reasoning as to like why to.
Yeah, like I would
need an ETF.
I would prefer, and we at Maxsi prefer, you would buy your own assets and hold them yourself, not only because of security reasons, but also because there's opportunities to use those assets to participate in money making strategies beyond what you can do at your broker. But whatever anyone's comfortable with is what they should stick to. And it's really exciting to see, a lot of this kind of like interest, like the buying power. And of course, the last kind of like thing to touch on is that there is a halving event coming up for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's emissions, the amount of new Bitcoins entering the system will be cut in half end of April. And like I said, currently the spot ETFs are buying more than 10 times the amount of Bitcoin that's currently being mined. So you could then, transitive property that to 20 times if that buy pressure stays consistent. So let's see. But until then, the stock market's also
so the guess is like price probably keeps in an uptrend till the halving happens, and then probably we get another pullback, reset, cool off. Maybe we just range. Usually after the halving, like price just ranges for months, and then we start the parabolic sort of like the blow, the fun part,
that's the like big thing to like look forward to now. I kind of agree too. So like what we're looking for is continuing the market movement until the halving event, then maybe cooling off, sitting around. We'll see, like kind of building a base is the kind of concept. Building a base of liquidity for the next, takeoff into the bull market.
So gives you another opportunity to add to your bags.
Exactly. So definitely buy the dip.